Adoatv, bringing good things to Adoatv, bringing good things.
Well, good evening and many thanks to you for staying with Adoatv. Welcome to PM Ghana this evening. My name is Reginald Adi, and of course, this is where we seek to bridge the gap between the lawmakers and the populace. Well, as we head towards the Yuletide season, we've had our own expectations in the course of the year, and it seems that we're getting towards that end of the year where some of you may seemingly think that those dreams are coming to an end. Well, I just want to assure you that each day and each passing moment is a new opportunity for you to renew yourself, renew your, if you wanted, vows, or if you even want to renew those New Year resolutions. And yes, from now until December ends, I'm going to constantly remind you about the resolutions that you set and the ones that you couldn't achieve. There's always room for improvement. Well, tonight we'll be speaking on matters that hover around us as a country. Well, remember that somewhere around August, then Parliament went on recess. They came back, and there are several bills before them. Typical amongst them is the LGBTQ bill, which is also seeing some progress, although we've had some back and forth with some sects of the populace. We'll speak into that, and I will speak about the current matters between the Parliament and the Ghana Police Service. Before that, we also had Parliament in some form of back and forth with the General Legal Counsel and the Attorney General. Well, I want to break the ice right now. I just want us to go on a quick turnaround. When we come back, I'll introduce my guests, and obviously, as you can see, we are not in our studios. So keep your hopes high. We'll surprise you after this break. Well, many thanks to you for staying with us. In case you just joined us, you're watching PM Ghana here on Adoatv Television. My name is Reginald Adi, your most humble servant, and this is where we seek to bridge the gap between the lawmakers and the populace. Well, as you can see, I'm not streaming from the studios. I am actually in job 600 in the office of the Honorable Member of Parliament for the Time constituency in the Bono region, Honorable Sulemana Adama. That's my guest for today. Honorable, good evening, and many thanks to you for having us in the studio.
Good evening, my brother.
How are you doing?
I'm good, by His grace of God.
So we've spoken on phone several times, and I keep hearing the voice of this fine gentleman. He's vivid contributions, his submissions, and all that. And today I decided to come and visit you. Thank you once again for having us in your studio.
Thank you for having me.
All right. You've been on a recess for some time now, and you're back. It's been a couple of weeks, and I see actions going on here and there. Yourself, you've been very active. Seeing you, sometimes I come around and I wish to call you, but I see how hurriedly you rush into the chamber, which means that you are dedicated to the work. How has it been for you?
Well, it's been a very sharp curve learning experience. Right. I mean, Parliament is when you come, they take you for orientation for less than a week. Yes. It's not enough to actually orient you to the work of Parliament. It's actually on the job that you learn. So you have to be a very quick learner. You have to be somebody who likes reading. A lot of papers who come, you should be able to touch on them, understand them, comprehend them, make use of them, contribute on the floor of Parliament, go back to your constituency, bring constituency issues to Parliament. So it's been hectic but fulfilling, and we are getting there.
Well, how are you catching up? I know you have to bring yourself to speed. I mean, I don't want to put it on a scale. How are you catching up?
I mean, when you, from the beginning, things look very confusing. When you get to the chamber, it looks very slow for you. Things look very slow because you expect things to, like when they say it's 5 o'clock, it's 5 o'clock. When it's 6, it's 6. But it doesn't work that in Parliament. So you have to readjust. And then when the work actually starts, it's something that it's like learning by doing. It's what you see. Being in the chamber, in fact, you can be a member of Parliament without learning. And most of the learning takes place in the chamber because the nuances, the noises around, the speakers, those who are not speaking, they are guests, they are all part of the learning process. Because you go through the standing orders and their do's and don'ts. You don't just get up and speak. So as somebody is scolded, as somebody is commended, you are learning. So I think it's been very quick, but I think I've learned a lot, and I'll be able to fit in for the 3 years ahead.
Very well. So you are on 2 committees.
Yes.
You are on the Standing Orders Committee.
Yep.
You're on the Communications Committee
yes.
as well. How are sittings been, and how are proceedings going on with both committees?
Yes. As you are aware, one of the bills that we are likely to pass for this term is the new Standing Orders Bill.
Yes.
It came through our committee, so we've done a lot of work on it. And that committee is really made up of leadership of the House, because the committee is tasked with the responsibility of fashioning out what Parliament actually, the tool that Parliament actually will use in its deliberations. It's a committee that is made up of lawyers and leadership of the House. So it's a place to learn. It's a place to learn the rudiments of Parliament. So I was actually very lucky to have got into that committee. We fashioned out a new standing orders. We've reviewed the old one, which actually came into force in the year 2000, so that it will be in tandem with current trends. On the communications committee, a lot of work has been done, including the agencies under the committee. We've met a couple of times. We visited the agencies. We deliberated on takeover of Tigo and a couple of things. So it's actually going on well, because the committees are actually the first point of call. Chamber is actually for general deliberations, but the committees, when you attend committee meetings, it brings you closer to the work, better perspective of the specific area of concern. So I think I've made it a point to be always punctual and always present at committee meetings, so that the part of the learning process will be quicker.
Very well. Well, I will wish you, Godspeed in catching up with all of these proceedings. It's not an easy one, especially for your serving. This is your first time
yes.
in office, and the manner in which you're trying to catch up and everything. I believe that the people of Ten constituency are very proud of you, and especially with the advocacy that you've been doing for them in areas of access to potable water. How far has that campaign or that call, that cry come? What has it yielded so far?
Generally, concretely now, we have not gotten anything yet from the central government, but I'm hoping that, as you know, the government has not taken off, because as I speak to you now, assemblies don't still have their common funds, and they are the central points of development.
Exactly.
So technically, this current government has not taken off because the assemblies are redundant. So I'm hoping that when the assembly takes off, I am also a member of the assembly. I will send the advocacy there too, and then two non-governmental organizations. I'm actually working with some non-governmental organizations to help us. And then my resources that I'm also expecting to get, I will channel a lot of them into water. Yesterday I had an opportunity to interact with my district director of health services. I met with him. He was suggesting ways of utilizing my NHI funds that are given to MPs. Yes. And I was also trying to let him know about the determinants of health. One of the main determinants of health is water. If the people don't have potable drinking water, we are going to get a very sick population, and we now have to find cure, buy drugs. But if you're able to provide potable water for them, so I also intend to channel a lot of my resources into provision of water.
Well, the Bono region is a very big region, and for that matter, your constituency as well, Town constituency. Would you say this is the dominant problem in the constituency, the lack of potable water?
Yes, one of the dominant problems.
One of the
dominant. I mean, the dominant problem in my constituency is road. Right. The road network, very terrible road network in my constituency, and incidentally, it's one of the cashew-producing constituencies in the country. So the government stands a bigger benefit if roads in my constituency are fixed. So apart from the roads and the water, we also have educational infrastructure project. We have deficit in classroom blocks and health facilities. The educational problems there has got to do with distances to the settlements. Yeah, there are a lot of settlements. Our brothers from the north have joined us, and most of them settled in the hinterlands where the food basket is so high. And then a lot of them don't have access to basic education. So you go and see 5-6-year-old kids still in the house because they have to walk like 5-6 kilometers to be able to access the nearest educational facility. So that's also a challenge in the constituency. So when you but when you put them on a scale, I think the road is by far the biggest challenge in the constituency.
And what's your bid to help salvage that situation? We've seen your colleague, who is also a first timer, massing people up to conduct demonstrations. We'll talk about that one in detail. But are you planning on going along that line?
There are so many ways to kill a cat. My colleague decided to pick one of the legitimate constitutional means to register the displeasure of the people of Medina on the roads. I also choose one of the legitimate constitutional means by summoning the Minister for Roads and Transport to come and answer questions about my roads in my constituency. He's giving the answers, he's giving the directions. I am following the directions, even though it's all about finances. I am just hoping that the government sees the need, because the most busiest minister on the floor of Parliament, as far as questions are concerned, is the roads minister. It tells you the extent to which roads in the country have deteriorated. So I am urging the government to, as a matter of urgency, prioritize roads, because it is the fulcrum, it's the spine of every economy. So that's why it is no wonder that where there was confusion, it was about roads. If the roads in Medina had been fixed, my brother would not go there, would not have led the demonstration. I've actually asked parliamentary questions on roads in my constituency. The ministers have come to answer the questions. I've followed up to the highways. I've contacted some of the contractors. So we are hoping that the promises and assurances of the government will be brought to bear. But there are other avenues too, of constitutional avenues of also exacting accountability from the government, and we will explore all those avenues.
I must say, your submission shows how much you have gone into Parliament, in fact, how much you've learned. Because I mean, it's like you know all about it already. You know what other means to use to tackle a problem. Kudos to you on that note. Now you're back in Parliament, and
Yes.
I mean, the sittings are ongoing. One of those bills that were before Parliament, before the break, was the anti-LGBTQ plus bill. We've seen several conversations about it, and it seems that obviously in Parliament there is that unilateral push for the bill to be passed. However, we also saw some lawyers and allies in various walks, citing their displeasure about the bill. That is not to perturb anybody at all. But what is the progress of the, processes towards the passage of the bill in Parliament?
Okay, thank you, my brother. The bill, just like any other bill that comes before the House, has been referred to the Constitutional, Legal, and Parliament, Affairs of Parliament, Constitutional and Legal Committee, Select Committee of Parliament. So it's currently under consideration by that committee. I think I'm hearing this week the committee will start looking at the memos and the petition that has come before them. It is only when it comes from the committee to Parliament that it will get to the consideration stage that we will come in. So as at now, it is still at the committee level. We are hoping that the committee expedite action on it, because the laws are made for the people, and the people are expectant of the laws. It doesn't also mean they should rush it. I think they should look at all the nuances, all the dimensions of the law, so that it becomes implementable. So as at now, we should all get our loins, we should all hold on. We are waiting for the committee to bring it is when the report of the committee gets to the plenary that you will debate the report and then pass it, or otherwise.
So, well, we also understanding that there are suggestions that for an open ballot into decisions on or decision on the LGBT plus. What do you make of that suggestion? Do you think that is the way to go?
Oh, that's what our standing orders permit that. In fact, the only condition under which voting is secret is when we are electing a speaker,
Right.
or somebody to hold a constitutional position, or yes, those are the conditions. So like when we are electing a speaker, or we are confirming members of a government, like ministers, or somebody holding a constitutional position like the NCC director, or like special prosecutor, or the chief justice. Those things, our standing orders are clear. It states that it should be by secret voting.
Right.
Any other consideration, any other decision that are taken by Parliament can be popular vote, can be done on the plenary through either secret ballot, or it could be public. It could not be secret. So if there are calls, I think the speaker has heard the calls.
Yes.
He's given the direction that there will be public voting. When you say public voting, when the voting is by secret ballot, that's when you see us endorsing on a sheet of paper, and then we put it in a ballot box, because it's by secret ballot. Yes. It is the reason why on the 7th of January you saw kicking off yes, because it was supposed to be secret ballot, so you are not supposed to show it. Yes. So anytime you show it, it's invalid. But when in Parliament we say public voting, it could be by show of heads. Okay. All those in favor rise up, let's see you, so we count you. It could be by show of, yes, it could be by voice vote.
Yes.
And so for all the noise that we are making, we may not even vote. It could be just by voice vote. Yeah. The speaker could put it to a voice vote, and the yes may be more than the no's, and then we say the yes have it, so it's passed. If the speaker thinks that there's a division, I mean, when they say there's a division, it means that the yes and the no sounds to be the same. Then he can call for a head count. Then all those in favor, you rise up and you count you one by one. That's the public voting. So it doesn't mean we will go and vote and show that we have voted yes or no, but we will vote for everybody to know that these are the people who stood up when we say yes, and these are the people who did not stand up. So the only condition under which we cannot vote by public, it's when we are actually confirming a constitutional person, a person who has been nominated for a constitutional position, or when we are confirming or electing a Speaker of Parliament.
Well, very well. Now, in that line of voting, I just quickly want to find out from you. Now, we saw a delay in the appointment, the nominations for MMDCs.
Yes.
That comes up, and it's been, reading with several challenges amongst other things. Per the standing orders of Parliament, before the current session, there were proposals for the position of MMDCs to be voted for, either by party lines or non-partisan lines. Do you think that it would have been right if this call was heeded to earlier on, before the appointment of the recent MMDCs, which would have perhaps seen to the reduction of the anomalies and the challenges that we are facing?
Okay, the Constitution is like a machine. When you are tweaking a part, be careful of the other parts. So if you want to make a comprehensive review of a provision in the Constitution, it should be comprehensive. The attempt to vote on the MMDCs was good for me. It was a very good attempt, but the procedure was faulty, because it called for tweaking Article 55 of the Constitution and 287 or something, 289 of the Constitution. But when you tweak one and you leave one, because Article 289 or something states that you cannot, MMDCs are supposed to be apolitical,
Yes.
the local government system. So if you want to elect MMDC based on political lines, then that provision needs to be changed. You don't change only Article 55. That is by appointment to election.
Right.
When you are electing and you want to elect on partisan line, then you have to go and change the other article. But the referendum that we were going to was only about Article 55.
Okay.
So generally, if you have to change this provision, you have to change that provision to encompass that. There were other articles in the provision that calls for the involvement of chiefs in the local government. Right. In the assemblies, chiefs have the authority to appoint some persons to these assemblies. That article was also left untouched. So now we were breaking that provision of the Constitution. So
I guess that article where chiefs are also not supposed to play along
partisan lines
would have to be. So
it's a chain of events, and we picked only one, and that's why we could not find a headway. But if you are to make a holistic approach to alter the Constitution, to amend the Constitution, to take care of all these nuances, then what we saw in the current election of MMDCs will not have risen then, because then the power to nominate the DCs does not lie with the president for the assembly members to go and confirm. It will now lie with it will be like a universal adult suffrage where everybody will be entitled to vote on the MMDCs. I think that is where we must be working towards. If that has taken place, look, the shenanigan election of confirmation of MMDCs, that we are behaving like ostriches, that we are actually confirming DCs through Gestapo style military interventions, police brutalizing, sitting MPs, some assembly members being denied opportunity to enter the places. It's that will blight our Constitution, what we have done for all those things. So I think we must look at it very well. But I think that things could have been better even without, because since '92 we've been doing this election of confirmation of MMDC without the hitches that we saw this time. And this is the time that it took us 9 months to be able to select MMDCs. So I think that this government has failed woefully as far as selecting our representative at the various district assemblies are concerned, because we thought that the 9 months was to do the consultations that would have assuaded that will have ensured that all interest groups have been consulted, they are fine, they are satisfied with the selection, and that we are going to have a very smooth confirmation. But this has been the most acrimonious confirmation of MMDCs, and I think the government must actually accept that responsibility and work towards it, because the MMDCs are supposed to have the legitimacy to work. But with this kind of selections and confirmations, their legitimacies at the assemblies will be called into question.
Well, that certainly may come up, and when it comes up, perhaps we'll see how best that can be tackled. But you mentioned that as at yet, the district assembly funds have not been, brought in. Do you think that this is in line with the delay, or perhaps a hidden delay, for which reason we saw the lapse in the appointment of those MMDCs?
The government has not got that laxity to behave the way it did, because constitutionally, every quarter, we've passed that bill. It's a law. It's in our constitution. Every quarter, you're supposed to remit the district assemblies to be able to work, because they are the fulcrum. They are the basic unit of our development agenda. So when you deny the assemblies, because nobody also forced the president to delay the appointment of MMDCs, because the president was quick in the appointment of ministers, and they were actually confirmed by Parliament. Even in 2017, when the government was new, they were quick in appointing ministers and MMDCs. So what changed? So the government cannot hide behind the absence of MMDCs and deny the assembly, because the assembly is a chain. MMDCs play a part, but without the MMDCs, the assembly concept still runs. And the old MMDCs were asked to stay on, so they stayed on. So the common fund could have been released to them to continue the development projects until these new ones are appointed. So the government has got no business. As at now, the assemblies are reeling. So provision of water, provision of basic amenities like health facilities, educational facilities, roads, they are all dead. And when you pay the assemblies, sachet water sellers, carpenters, all those who rely on the assembly's concept get something to do. But now all of them have been crippled, because the assemblies have been crippled. So it is not an antidote. And I see you use the correct word. It's the hidden agenda. It's the hidden reason why the common fund was not released. But that was wrong.
I see. Well, now let's move away from that, and let's return to Parliament. And from the resumption, we've seen the sort of, should I call it, banter between Parliament, the General Legal Council, between Parliament and the Attorney General. But the newest amongst them is Parliament versus Ghana Police Service.
Yeah.
I want to start on the new one first.
Yes.
Probably we may not be able to exhaust all others due to time.
Yeah.
It begins from understanding what parliamentary proceedings are. Now, we know that all of this stems from the recent intended or attempted arrest of the Medina Member of Parliament, Honorable Francis Xavier Susu, twice, which wasn't fruitful, and subsequently the Speaker's call that they should have used the appropriate channel and all. In all of this, one thing that keeps crossing is parliamentary proceedings, because it is stated that you cannot arrest a member of parliament or serve him when he is to or through parliamentary proceedings. And what are those activities that constitute parliamentary proceedings? I believe you are in a better position to answer that, since you are also of the Standing Orders Committee.
Thank you, my brother. Before I go to what constitutes parliamentary proceedings, I think the brouhaha around Honorable Susus and all those banters and the letters written by the Speaker, I think they are all generally, we could have avoided all those things. Generally, we could have avoided all those things. I think it's petty for me. The attempt by the Ghana Police Service to arrest Honorable Francis was petty.
Why?
I'm saying because petty, because we all know the Public Order Act. When you want to organize a demonstration, you notify the police. Actually, the police don't have to give you a permission. The police cannot determine who to demonstrate or when not to demonstrate. But police can tell you what they are capable of doing because they are supposed to provide security to you. So the letter to the police service for demonstrations are not actually to seek permission. Right. They are actually to notify the police of an intended demonstration because they are supposed to provide security. So the people of Medina, led by the Honorable Member of Parliament, actually wrote that letter to the police service. The police replied, and in line with what I'm saying, the police they don't need to give permission, but the police replied that because of the tour of His Excellency the President of Greater Accra, an intended demonstration by the students of the Ghana Law School because of their exams issues, the police were stretched that they couldn't provide security for the demonstrators in Medina. So they suggested a different time. And that was the time. That time that the police suggested was the time that the demonstration actually took place. During the demonstration, some people attempted going overboard. Yes, the honorable member accepted. And he, together with the police, de-escalated the situation. They actually went to the field, talked to the people, and there are videos abound of the honorable member actually talking to his constituents to follow the laid down procedures to go through the demonstration peacefully.
Well,
and the people...
The videos are out. So we see two contradictory videos. One video where he's cited to be, saying that they will block the roads and all that. And then in the other video where he's seen in the actual dress he wore on the day of the demonstration, he was actually informing them to abide by the rules. So what is the actual intention of the Member of Parliament? That is the question.
The actual intention of the Member of Parliament is to do his mandated constitutional duty. And I believe in the video that, because that was when he was actually on the field. Yes. So then he actually, with the help of the police, the very police who wanted to arrest him, the issue was de-escalated. So this attempt to arrest the Member of Parliament based on going through the constitutional mandated responsibilities that he's supposed to do, for me was really unnecessary. Be it as it may, parliamentary responsibilities, or what constitutes a parliamentary proceedings, is not only on the floor of Parliament.
Right. So in his bid to lead the people, was he embarking on a parliamentary proceeding because he was acting as a Member of Parliament?
Yes, because parliamentary work is not only in the chamber or on the precinct of Parliament. When we go on recess, it does not mean we have gone on vacation. It's not like an educational institution where you have gone on vacation. When you go on recess, it means you are going back to your constituents, go to tell them what has happened in Parliament, seek their opinions, come back. Me, last week, I was in 6 churches. I was in some...
Do you also preach?
No.
Okay.
I used to be a local preacher in the Methodist Church, but for some time I've not been able to. I went to palaces, about 3 or 4 palaces. I saw their opinion on the bill, the LGBTQI bill. I went to the SDA church, I went to the Presbyterian church, Methodist church, the Catholic church. So I saw the opinion. It is part of my constitution, my parliamentary work. So when I go to my constituency, I'm not on vacation. It is an extension of the work that I've been given. So it is not only in chamber. When you leave the President of Parliament and you are going for a committee meeting, usually we have committee meetings outside the President of Parliament. It's a parliamentary duty that you are actually performing. When they have called for meetings of rankings and deputy rankings, of which our honorable member for Medina is a deputy ranking. At that time that they were trying to arrest him, they have called for deputy rankings and rankings meeting here. Right. So parliamentary responsibilities is not limited to the President of Parliament or attending chamber. If you're able to, and that it is the reason why the Constitution makes it clear, and our standing orders and our act makes it clear that when you want to arrest a member of Parliament, you refer to the Speaker, because then the Speaker will tell you, because the Speaker is an embodiment of our Constitution. So he will determine whether our member of Parliament or any member of Parliament was undertaking a parliamentary duty or not. I could say I'm taking a parliamentary duty when actually I am not. But the Speaker will be in a position to determine to the law enforcement agencies. And that's why members of Parliament are not above the law. We don't have a blank check to commit crime and go scot-free. No, we don't have that. Anytime anybody commits crime, we are culpable to the law just like any other citizen.
Right. You are not above the law, but they say that you are immune to arrest. That is what the public is translating this into.
Yes, very good. They're immune to arrest. We are not immune to arrest. We are immune to arbitrary arrests. Okay. In fact, when you get to the Speaker, when you contact the Speaker, you want to arrest a member of Parliament or invite a member of Parliament to either police station or to the law court, and you contact the Speaker will find a way to make sure the member of Parliament presents himself to the police or to the court. Right. So that, as I speak to you, there are a lot of members of Parliament who are in court. There are a lot of members of Parliament who have been invited by police, and they have passed through the right channels, and they have responded to the police. Right. Over a week ago, just like 2 weeks ago, I happened to be part of members of Parliament who accompanied Honorable Collins Dauda to court. He's in court. He's a member of Parliament because the normal procedures were followed. So all that we are saying is that we are not saying an MP should go and commit a crime and say I have immunity. Immunity doesn't preclude the immunity, and the privilege that we have does not say you are not liable to be charged. No. It is to make sure that members of Parliament are able to carry their responsibilities and that they are not worried unnecessarily who has on their way to Parliament to discharge their duties. But when you commit an offense against the law, there are ways and avenues of bringing you before the law.
Well, I am forced to touch on certain matters, but let's stay a bit on Honorable Susu's
yes.
Matter. So, the argument again that citizens are raising is that Honorable Susu Xavier is a member of Parliament, elected by the people to represent them in Parliament. So just as you do, you go to your constituency, listen to their pleas, you come, you present it before Parliament. So is the responsibility of the Medina MP. But he rather joined the constituents to voice out their complaints. Now, who were they voicing the complaint out to at the time? That is the question. Because he was to just present it in Parliament. So many are saying that his role in that demonstration was uncalled for. Do you agree?
I disagree in its entirety. In fact, I would have been very disappointed if he had not taken part in the demonstration.
I see.
Because he is the one that they have reposed their confidence in them.
Yes,
in him.
He is supposed to present it in Parliament.
Yes, he's not only supposed to present it in Parliament. You don't only present your challenges in Parliament. As I speak to you, if you ask me about the issue that you asked me about my constituency, I am actually telling the government, when I tell you, I am asking the government to fix my roads. I am asking the government to fix my water situations. So there are so many avenues of letting the government know who is the better voice than the person that the whole Medina constituency have put their responsibilities in. At that time, when they did the demonstration, the media covered it. The media asked them why they are doing the demonstration. Who is the better person to better articulate the concerns of the people than Honorable Susu? If he has not taken part in the demonstration, he will not have shown leadership. He showed leadership by taking part to let the people know that he shares their concerns. Because apart from him being a member of Parliament, he's also a citizen of the constituency. He's a citizen of Ghana. You, as the journalist, you could have taken part in the demonstration, even though you don't live in Medina. You could have taken part. So for me, he did what every leader is supposed to do: join his people, share their concerns, articulate their concerns, and send their concerns back to Parliament. Now he can even articulate their concerns so much in Parliament when he goes down there and work with them and understand their concerns.
So this is it. Now, does the position of Honorable Susu Xavier indicates that there is some sort of lacking when you present your issues or your matters before Parliament? Because like you said, the demonstration that he embarked on has made his case even more viable. Does this mean that there is something lacking anytime you present your matters on the floor of Parliament, such that you have to perhaps stick to the same channel?
No, they are. You know, we have three arms of government, and we now have the fourth arm. For me, I call it the fourth arm.
Right.
I mean, the media.
The media.
You are supposed to articulate the concerns of the citizens. So, for me, I don't think, and that's my personal opinion, I don't think the demonstration, we should wait for the demonstration to actually amplify concerns in. Actually, the demonstration has actually brought to light, because people were not even aware of the demonstration, but because of the attempted arrest and those stuffs, they have actually shed light on. But I don't think it's the most appropriate way, because you see what it's doing. There's a statement from the majority side, a statement from the minority side. Before that, there had been a statement from Parliament itself, signed by the clerk on behalf of the Speaker, and all those matters. So for me, demonstrations are allowed in our Constitution. Right. They are also part of the Constitution. So it could be parliamentary, it could be on the floor of Parliament to exact accountability from the government. It could be by way of demonstration. It could be by way of statement in Parliament. It could be by way of inviting the sector minister to come and answer questions on Parliament. So for me, it also calls for into question the role of the media. If the media focus their attention, the media focus attention on where usually the news is actually coming from. So if the media had focused much attention on the demonstration itself, apart from the brouhaha, the media has got another news coming out of the brouhaha. That's why it's escalated. I think we shouldn't wait. It's true to some extent about the workings of our constitutional bodies. It is not for the laws. We have the laws. Right. We have the processes. But as to whether we are actually applying the processes in our constitution is where the challenge is coming from. The laws are there. We are supposed to exact accountability from claim holders, duty bearers, and claim holders are supposed to claim it from the duty bearers. But usually we ask the questions, we pose the questions in Parliament, statements are taken, ministers come to answer, eventually you see nothing. So if there are other avenues to call attention, then you take that avenue. And that's why it's the reason why taking part in that demonstration was the most important thing that I think the MP did.
Well, what do you make of the Speaker's, reaction to all of this? First of indicating that the Member of Parliament could not be apprehended in such manner, and that he stated rightfully that there were proceedings to follow. Now, the Member of Parliament for Medina was supposed to appear in court on November 8th, Monday. But again, we hear that the Speaker says that the Member of Parliament will not be available because he has sent him on a parliamentary errand out of the country. Now, this is someone who is currently, in this situation. Do you think that the Speaker is protecting him?
The Speaker is undertaking his constitutional responsibilities. This, our standing orders. This is the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. Part of these standing orders are actually verbatim, taken from this Constitution. Yes, privileges and immunities, part 3 of our standing orders states clearly, and it's Article 115 of the Constitution, that there shall be freedom of speech, debate, and proceedings in Parliament, and that freedom shall not be impeached or questioned in any court or place out of Parliament. Be it as it may, and you go blah, 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 blah. When you go to subpart 2, contempt of Parliament or breach of parliamentary proceedings, what the Speaker is trying to do is to apply what is in the Constitution.
But wouldn't that amount to a breach of the courts? Because the police had sought a court order to invite the Member of Parliament. As to whether he was invited or whether he received a letter or not, we do not know. But just as the Speaker and the Ghana Police Service have taken the media, which you put as the fourth estate, into perspective.
Yep.
communication was out there that indeed member of parliament, the police had sought that court order, and yet the speaker sent him on an errand. Someone who the court has, he presented an order for his appearance on Monday, and then the speaker also sends him on an errand.
Yes, I think the speaker, the executive, the judiciary, and legislature are three independent arms of government. They work in tandem, but they are all independent arms of government. So everybody must be allowed to work. And that if there's a parliamentary process, and it's the reason why we've put it in the constitution that in order, because Sosu is not guilty until he's proven, hold on, until he's proven guilty by a competent law of jurisdiction.
Very well.
So as we speak now, Sosu is not a candidate for jail.
Innocent until
He's innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
So and it's a criminal proceedings, and criminal proceedings don't have timelines. It can take years. It can still be done. So now that there's a parliamentary proceeding to be done, I think it takes precedence. When he comes back, and the speaker made it clear in that letter, when he comes back, I think the speaker will ensure that he faces the courts and answer any question that the court will put him. But for now, the parliamentary proceedings cannot wait, because as we speak now, if he are to pass a bill in parliament, and that bill, like the imposition restrictions bill, when COVID came, you have to give the president the powers to restrict our movement. It's an emergency bill. If every member of parliament is needed in order to pass that bill, and you want a member of parliament to be in court, the speaker have the right to ask the court to wait for a member of parliament to undertake that constitutional responsibility for our own collective welfare, and then revert back to the court. And that's what the speaker has done.
Interesting. Now, let's look at the other side.
Good.
We're talking about the speaker and then the parliament bit. Now, some of your colleagues have said that the Ghana Police Service, for that matter, the custodian of the Ghana Police Service, the IGP, is, well, not necessarily, but they're saying that he should be careful in the exercise of his duty. Do you think that he is, maybe getting out of order?
Well, just like any constitutional body, the position,
for lack of a better word. So let's just take it as it is.
Yeah, any constitutional body, you just like you have immunities and you have privileges, you also have responsibilities. So if you check our standing orders, then there's the chapter part 3. Part 3 talks about privileges and immunities, and part 2 talks about contempt of parliament or breach of contempt. So if you breach any of those immunities, you'll be taken on. The IGP has also got his privileges, his responsibilities, and his immunities as well. So I think everybody seems to be, for the first time in a long time, concurring about the qualities of this particular IGP.
Right.
Looking at his track record, what he has done in the police service. So there seems to be some unanimity about what he's capable of doing.
What do you personally think about him?
I think that save this issue, apart from until the Sosu issue, I personally really liked what he's doing. He's taking the law as it's supposed to be done. But there are constitutional provisions that must be followed when you want to implement the law. Right. And for me, on this case, I think he went beyond the constitution, and that cannot be allowed.
Right. Well, let's move away from that. I stated that there has been a banter between the Parliament and the General Legal Counsel, the Attorney General. Now, speaking about going a bit too far, it is the same manner the GLC and the AG have sort of redressed the Speaker's order for the GLC to admit those 499 students who passed but were not granted admission. What do you have to say about? Do you think that the Speaker also went beyond his powers in that step? Although it wasn't Honorable back being in the seat there, it was a deputy, but that's the seat of the speaker. Do you think that he went beyond those powers?
No. You see, Parliament is not only about passing laws. It's about ensuring that the laws that we passed are utilized sufficiently. It's also about ensuring that the executives account for their stewardship. So, apart from lawmaking, Parliament has got the responsibility to also hold the government account. We also have got the responsibility of the public purse. Make sure we pass budgets and financial statements from the government and the rest. One of the cardinal responsibilities of Parliament, actually, is about holding the government to account. So the General Legal Counsel are all under the Attorney General's Department. And no, there's nothing under this space that it's government that is beyond the work of Parliament. So for me, Parliament didn't do admission. Parliament didn't do examination. Parliament didn't do the things that that are supposed to be done. But when laws are passed, that law must work. So the General Legal Counsel actually gave a caveat. They gave a cut-off point for admission and examination and all those stuff. So when they go beyond that stuff, it is the responsibility of the Ministry of Justice and Attorney General who have direct oversight responsibility, or whether it is Ministry of Education or whatever entity. Or
law education is under the GLC.
Ghana Legal Counsel,
which is also
under the
AG.
AG.
Yeah, so
very good.
just rightfully as you put it.
Very good. So generally, if it's under the AG is government. And the government can be superintended over by Parliament. So what stopped Parliament? The Attorney General, when he was nominated by the President, he came to Parliament for approval. The Ministry of Justice and Attorney General brings their budget to Parliament. So we are supposed to scrutinize their activities. So if an activity of an agency under the Ministry of Justice and Attorney General go outside the Constitution, Parliament has got that responsibility. So the Speaker did not go beyond. And it's not, you see, Parliament is made up of members from the various constituencies headed by a Speaker. This attempt to personalize issues about the Speaker will not wash, because Parliament as an institution must be seen as Parliament as an institution. So yes, this is a matter that has bipartisan deliberations on the floor, and then the Speaker ruled, directing the Ghana Legal Counsel to admit the students who has passed according to their own criteria. Parliament did not say admit all the students who have failed. That is why we say you are going beyond. But the very criteria that you have set yourself, the students have passed. So Parliament is directing them to admit them.
Well, so you say that is entirely not out.
That is entirely constitutional.
Outstepping its boundaries.
Not at all.
Well, let's leave it at that. We are almost up on time. So I want to find out. I mean, from now until probably in December, where Parliament may go on recess again, there are several bills, and surprisingly, the progress towards attending to those bills seem to be very slow. How well do you think some of these bills will be dealt with? Because I know that there are several bills. We can't go through all of them. What do you think proceedings would be like between now and perhaps into the Unitide?
Generally, the business committee outlines proceedings for every week. And before we came in, the business committee has actually outlined what bills and what motions and what statements and financial statements will come to the floor. So, just like I told you, parliamentary proceedings are usually sometimes slower. But I'm sure that It is not all the time that targets are met, but I'm sure we will get close to what we actually intend to actually undertake. The aged bill will come, the standing orders bill will come, the LGBTQI bill will come, and I'm sure we will be able to do justice to them. We are looking up to the business committee. Remember, this is also a budget session. We are likely to have the budget read maybe somewhere next week.
Yes.
Then we will deliberate on the budget for almost like, we are supposed to have deliberated for 8 weeks, but we are not going to get that luxury.
And so the budget reading is also going to place a halt on all of those other bills
Yeah.
that were before, the reading of the budget as well. We're wishing you Godspeed. It's going to be a busy moment for you, members of parliament. Before I go, let me ask you, do you have any regrets, being a member of parliament so far? Because I know that before you came in, you had your perception and your ideas and so many things that you wanted to do. But you get in there and you realize that it is not as you thought. There are several other, proceedings and several other dealings that you have to attend to. Do you have any regrets so far?
No, I don't. The only regrets I have is my inability to, looking at the challenges in my constituency, vis-a-vis the resources that I'm given, my inability to be able to solve the challenges head on for them. I believe that members of parliament should be given more resources to be able to undertake activities in their constituencies. As you know, when we give the assembly their common fund, 5% of that common fund is given to the member of parliament, and it's woefully inadequate. Looking at the quantum of requests that come to the member of parliament. As to being a member of parliament, I've never regretted, because for me it's an honor. Because I came in, if you come in with the anticipation that you are coming for wealth, then you regret. Then it won't take you 5 months, you regret, because you may be worse off. You may be worse off. But I come in with that attitude of service to the people. I mean, for me, it is the greatest height of satisfaction for a population of almost 100,000, more than 100,000, to repose the confidence in you, a young man, that go and represent us. For me, it's a privilege. So I have not regretted. The only regret I have is our inability to satisfy them. Because if the resources are given to the members of parliament, I think that accountability will be much easier, because we vote on them. Because if they don't do, they'll be voting on them. But this is a situation where you put the member of parliament there. In 4 years' time, you take a decision on that member of parliament. You don't give him the needed resources. But now, lawmaking is no more our functions alone. People expect us for critical infrastructure. So when you go to constituency, people are asking you, come and fix our roads, which is capital intensive. Come and fix our educational system, our health system. But we don't have the resources. So I'm hoping that something should be done about that. But I for regret, no. Because I came in to serve, and service is in my DNA.
Well, service is in his DNA, certainly. Well, Honorable Suleiman Adam, thank you very much for your time this morning. And I'm pleased to have met you after several series of phone calls. I'm grateful for your time.
Thank you for having me on your network. I'm grateful for the advocacy that you are doing. I'm grateful for the opportunity that you have offered me.
Right. Well, so that is Member of Parliament for Time constituency in the Bono region. What great conversation we've had. It's unfortunate that time will not permit us to go further, but this won't be the only time we will come to his offices to elucidate information from himself onto you, his constituents, and to all of you Ghanaians. My name is Reginald Adi, and I'm also here to serve as always your humble servant. And I'll see you next week with some more conversations. Until then, stay out of trouble. And when you ply the roads in these times, please reduce your speed, put on your seat belts, check your lights, and care for the life of the other passenger as well. Have a lovely evening. Mambo.